Hello, Wormhole Rider Nation, website readers, fans, Wormhole Rider fans. My name is Jason A. Meuschke, and I want to thank you for coming by today and having these wonderful questions about my book, 9 Mile Bridge, and what I've got coming up. Thank you also to Gary Morgenstein for inviting me to this. So, without further ado, let's get into the questions, shall we? And I'm going to try not to look down too much into my questions and answers, but let's start with question number 1. Your book, 9 Mile Bridge, inhabits a world steeped in haunted dreams and paranormal activities. What fascinates you most about the spirit realm that you were inspired to build your story around it? Well, in truth, the majority of my inspiration came from high school, when my friends and I would go to and explore the namesake location. uh, while there are already multiple ghostly legends about this place, they were varied and often conflicting against one another. So, but they always made me curious, and I'd ask myself questions and imagine scenarios about that. Like, if this place was haunted, how did it get that way? And what would it do to the surrounding area? If there were really multiple legends and hauntings, what would that do? And how would you stop it? All of that makes me curious, and especially now as a writer. Or maybe I was just curious then too, I don't know. But it made me curious, and that search for answers now as an author is what fascinated me most about it and led me to making this my first book and writing it in that way. Question number 2. We live in a culture today that at once champions a secular, material point of view that believes there are no spirits, while at the same time our fascination with life beyond death is more pronounced than ever. What are your thoughts about this compartmentalization that we have as a society and our disconnect between the two? So this was a very interesting question, and it made me have to put some thought to this before I could really answer this. As far as what do I think, and going from there. So, according to psychology, the act of compartmentalization is a defense mechanism or coping strategy that is overall not healthy for us. Rather than dealing with our own internal conflicts, and we push them away, or we put them in a box for later. So a number of my characters in 9 Mile Bridge, they use compartmentalization in one way or another to deal with tragedy, to deal with loss of a loved one, their beliefs, or even their own righteousness. And while that's not a healthy way to deal with something, it does make for interesting situations between the characters. So I thought that was an interesting take on it, and yeah. Question number 3. An important premise to your story is that the supernatural realm is able to impact the natural realm, and that there is an immortal investment into mortal events. Explain your point of view on this. Oh boy. Well, like the previous questions, this could also be an entire topic all of its own, and a conversation that could go on for hours. But I'm going to try not to do that here. So, my point of view is matters like this. My point of view of matters like this stem from my own experiences that I've had. Experiences that sometimes can't be entirely explained. And, you can call them ghost stories, call them dreams, my own imagination, whatever way you want to compartmentalize them. See what I did there? Uh, but, and you see these on television and you read about them online, about, how did this inanimate object move across the room by itself? How did someone who sleeps at home alone develop a slap mark, handprints on the back of their leg? Things like that. Is it possible that the supernatural can impact our natural world? And what would that impact be? Those are questions I had when writing this. And, I think it boils down to our own individual experiences and beliefs, essentially, anyway. And I've certainly had some interesting experiences. So um, I don't know. I kind of feel like I danced around the question a little bit, but at the same time, I kind of didn't either. Mysterious, right? Number 4. Through your writing, how do you hope to impact your readers? My initial thoughts on this is that I hope to just simply entertain my readers. I think it's a fear in every author when they're writing something, worrying that that they worry about. Oh my gosh, are my readers going to find this boring? Are they going to keep reading? Um, and it's that fear that I have that makes me want to make sure that it's an entertaining story, and that's what my first impact is. Is that I want it to be entertaining. Secondly, I want to have relatable characters. I want to impact the readers by having characters they can relate to. If a reader can't understand and feel what a character is going through, or at least relate to them in some way or something with their own lives, then we're right back to part 1 of this, where it's a boring story. Um, Something interesting I've come across in reading other authors' work is that it doesn't have to be a major thing. Like, for instance, they don't have you don't have to be your character doesn't have to be captain of the lacrosse team or prom queen, or something like that. Not everybody's going to be able to relate to that, but people will be able to relate to something as simple as having that one friend who always texts, they never call you back. They never answer their phone. Or you find something in your pocket that you totally forgot about. Maybe a $5 bill or something. Um, and of course, it's always at that moment when you're buying food. It's like, oh my gosh, great. Or people can relate to the smell of their favorite breakfast cooking. You know, so little things like that is what I try to do, and it brings out it creates a believability about the character that can have an impact on the reader and makes them think, yeah, I love the smell of bacon in the morning. They can relate to that, or most people can. I don't know. Maybe you don't eat bacon. Fill in the blanks for something that most people could do. Number 5. What are your plans for the future? Well, coming very soon is my second book, a novel idea. You can see the picture of it right there. This is a mystery thriller about a struggling author named Wesley Main. Now, some people believe that he stole his first book from a dead author friend. And even though it had some success, he had a little bit of a black mark. He's a little bit labeled that way. And now he's the prime suspect when another author friend in the area has disappeared. And so as questions begin to build about Wesley, his writing, people begin to wonder: did Wesley kill for his next story, or can he prove his innocence and still meet his deadline on time? So it was a lot of fun. It was something I had not planned. It was one of those inspirational moments that just hit me, and I wrote it within a couple months. I'd never done that before, and it should be out real soon. My hope was to have the pre-order up by now, actually, for an April 1st release, but I'm not quite there yet, so it'll be coming soon. Rest assured, it's going to be coming out in April for sure. After that, after that release, my next thing is to I'll be diving back into my first science fiction series. It's called The Bandit Chronicles, and this is an 80s themed story that blends the classic miniseries V with Red Dawn. There's also a little bit of that Brendan Fraser movie, Blast from the Past, mixed into it as well, because the main character was a young man, barely a teenager, I guess, who has been hiding in a bunker with nothing but 80s action movies and video games for his education, so to speak. So I finished book 1 in November. I'm halfway through book 2 right now, and my plan is to just jump right into book 3, and I'm going to edit all 3 of them together and then do a rapid release later this year. So books 1, 2, and 3 all within a few months of each other, and they'll come out together. That's the plan. And then I'll do 3 more books next year and so on, and we'll see how long it goes. I'm not sure. Not exactly entirely sure, but I don't have a newsletter yet, but I may work on one here soon. I do have a website where you can find out more at www.jasonameuschke.com. I'm also creator and host of the Sample Chapter podcast. This is a weekly show that features authors, new and veteran alike, who come on and they read a sample chapter from one of their books. My goal with this show is to provide a platform for all authors and all genres to help promote their book and to get word out beyond their immediate circle of family and friends, and raise awareness to potential new readers, essentially, is what the hope is. The show comes out every Tuesday. It's available on all podcast platforms, including YouTube, and was just picked up in the last week with iHeartRadio, so very excited about that. You can follow the show also on Facebook and Twitter, or you can go to www.samplechapterpodcast.com, and you can actually subscribe directly there to the feed that we have that I have set up. Once again, thank you very much to Gary Morgenstein and all of the fans out there of the Wormhole Writers. This has been a lot of fun, and it definitely gave me pause to think about some of the questions and how to properly answer some of these, but it's been a lot of fun, and I look forward to chatting with some of you all down the road. Thanks a lot. Have a good day.